And so what's up? Oh, there's Russ Wilson.
It's Bobby Wagner.
That's not what he wanted to cook. That's not what he wanted to cook.
So breaking news, the Denver Broncos just cut Russell Wilson, who was supposed to be their franchise quarterback since 2022. He is now off the team, and must I say, wasn't too shocked that this was going to happen, but it's just shocking what has happened all around it. Like, let's just even go into what happened with Denver and Russell Wilson. Now, before I get started on that, here's a word from our sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a mobile ticketing app for sporting events, concerts, and other events. They make the buying experience easier by the app ranking each ticket from 0 to 10 to see if you are getting a good deal, and you can see exactly where you are sitting. I regularly use that app, and I have had nothing but a fantastic experience with SeatGeek. Use my promo code ROOFTOPSPORTS to get $20 off of your first purchase. Link to the code, app, and website will be in the description, so take advantage, and thank you. And yes, definitely take advantage of that. Anyway, so Russell Wilson, so what is this cut all about? So Denver decided to save money, sort of, and Sean Payton, he wanted nothing to do with him. He just couldn't handle the man anymore. And then there was just that ugly situation where Denver was actually kind of in the playoff race, but then they just decided to bench Russell Wilson for the rest of the season because they just didn't want to deal with that extra 30-something million that Denver would have been guaranteed to pay them had Russell Wilson been injured in those last two games. And Russell Wilson's time in Denver, it was nothing but disastrous. Like the very first season that happened with Denver and Russell Wilson, I really wanted to give Russell Wilson the benefit of the doubt because Denver hired the worst possible coach for Russell Wilson, which was Nathaniel Hackett. And then maybe I was like, okay, maybe it was just one bad year. And then he was getting all the excuses, including fools like me, although it was enjoyable that the Seahawks did get a lot of draft picks out of it, and it turned into at least a top 10 pick. But anyways, then I was thinking maybe Sean Payton could have maybe worked out and got him to do better. Granted, Russell Wilson did play a little bit better, but it wasn't enough to satisfy Sean Payton, and just the fact that he was too much of a financial pill to take for Russell Wilson, I guess it just wasn't worth it anymore. And now the details of that contract. So although, yes, Denver isn't paying Russell Wilson that huge chunk of that contract as much anymore, the worst part of it is Denver's going to take in over $85 million in dead cap, and they're going to split it within the next 2 years. So this is clearly going to be a rebuilding time for Denver unless Sean Payton can create some kind of magic. But I would think that Denver is going to go ahead and draft a new quarterback in the upcoming NFL draft, if they're even in the range to get anyone. But must I say, what a disaster this has been. And who is going to take on Russell Wilson? Who freaking knows? But before I even get to that, let's go over reminisce that Denver Broncos Seahawks trade and see what the Seahawks actually got out of it. So here's what it was. Denver Broncos got Russell Wilson and a 4th-round pick by the Seahawks by a name that I can't even say at all. And if I don't even know who he is, he probably didn't really do much. He was a 2022 4th-round pick. Seahawks got this. They got Drew Lock, who did throw a nice throw to DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith-Njigba to beat the Eagles. He did have a game for that. Noah Fant, who's been a decent tight end, along with Will Dissly and Kobe Parkinson, and then Shelby Harris, Charles Cross, who was their 2022 first-round pick, Boy Mafe, 2022 second-round pick, who has been decent, Tyreek Smith, who didn't really amount to much, Devon Witherspoon for 2023, and Derek Hall for 2023. Both had decent rookie seasons, so safe to say the Seahawks absolutely won that trade. And even at the time the trade happened, I was crushed that the Seahawks got rid of Russell Wilson, but at the same time, I was thinking, well, if at least we got draft picks out of it, and maybe they'll turn into something. At least we got something out of it. I just wish that top 5 pick actually turned into a better pick, but Denver decided to win those last few moments of the 2022 season. And now let's take a look at what can Russell Wilson land with. Who can he land with? Now, I got some texts by some friends saying that, oh, maybe the Seahawks can pick up Russell Wilson and rebuild that relationship. Stop right there. Personally, as much as I would love it for nostalgic purposes, I just don't see it happening because the bridge was already burned. Russell Wilson, I guess, made it all about himself, and all that drama that really did happen, which we all believed delusionally that it was just all media poo-poo, which turned out to be true. The rumors that he wanted Pete Carroll fired, he wanted Sean Payton, he would never take a pay cut so to give him a better offensive line, and obviously he never restructured in Denver either. So it turned out Russell Wilson, and don't get me wrong, he was a huge part of that Super Bowl championship run in the 2013-14 season, and his rookie season was legendary. Most of his years with the Seahawks was legendary. I cannot take that away from him, but he really didn't help his own cause when he said he wanted to win multiple Super Bowls, and yet he wouldn't even restructure his contract to get him even a better offensive line or even a defense after the LOB was gone. So Russell really did this to himself, so I think the relationship between him and the Seahawks, they're pretty much gone. And it really does look like the Seahawks are still going to commit to Geno Smith, as if he already restructured a part of his contract, because it looks like the Seahawks really, maybe they want to make some kind of a Super Bowl run, but it looks like Russell Wilson just won't be that guy. I think he would have been a distraction as much as I would like to bring him back nostalgically. I just don't think it makes any sense. Seahawks have a new coaching staff. The offense that they're going to be working with doesn't really fit with Russell Wilson, as the offense does for this one's going to pass more up the middle, and Wilson isn't really that kind of guy. And just to top it off, maybe the Seahawks draft a new quarterback anyway, so I don't know if Russell Wilson would be worth any of that kind of time. And don't forget, he's on mileage. He's up in the mid-30s. His mobility is just not there anymore, and we kind of already saw that in the 2021 season where he just looked completely gone, a shell of his former self. It seemed that 2020 was his last good season, and now since then, he just hasn't really done anything much since. So for those Seahawks fans that are out there thinking that Russell Wilson would come back, no, I wouldn't count on it. So maybe the only landing teams I could see happening, the Las Vegas Raiders, as they have their quarterback problems. Maybe Minnesota, since Kirk Cousins might be gone. Maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though that may have been shot down. I don't know. But as of now, Russell Wilson doesn't really have that much of a landing spot. And if things get worse, maybe he's going to have to swallow his pride and take a backup position. I mean, he doesn't really have much of a choice anymore. And I really hope for his sake, I hope this whole experience with Denver was as good as eating a humble pie, because he really did deserve it, because he really forced his way out of Seattle. He definitely took things for granted there. Then in Denver, it just got even worse. So, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for Russell Wilson. It's going to be very interesting how this offseason turns out. I mean, Russell Wilson just makes it a lot more interesting. But those are going to be my thoughts going forward with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification. And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. And here's another video sharing my thoughts on the Seahawks hiring Mike Macdonald as their head coach, who I don't think wants anything to do with Russell Wilson.